We start. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Wa sallallahu ta'ala sayyidina Muhammadin ashraf al-anbiya wal-mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man wala li yawm ad-din. Nawat ta'lam al-ta'lim wa tadhakkur tadhkir an-naf' al-intifa' wal-ifad al-istifad wal-hath al-tamasuk bi-tabana sunnah al-sunnah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam والدعاء إلى الهدى والدلال على خير ابتغاء وجه الله ومرضاته قربه ثوابه سبحانه وتعالى. سبحان الله والحمد لله ولا إله إلا الله كل له الملك العظيم عدد كل حرف كتب يكتب أبد الآبد مداهن داهرين سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم وحسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العظيم. اللهم إني أعوذ بك من أن أضل وزن ما أظلم أو أجهل أو يجهل علي. اللهم غير علم وزن من حلم وأكرم بالتقوى وجمل بالعافية يا رب الراحمين يا رحمن الراحمين يا رب الراحمين. طيب. So there's a lingering question from last class about conditions of salah, about covering your awrah, right? We talked about if someone's awrah becomes exposed in salah, whether it's, for example, a man is praying and his lower back becomes exposed because his shirt is too short while he's in sujood, for example, or his pants are too short so his shorts go up above his knees, or a woman, for example, who has to cover her arms while she prays, her sleeves fall while she's praying because she just took a beer or something like that. In all cases, it does invalidate your prayer. So be careful. So make sure everything is covered before you start praying. Okay? Make sure everything is covered before you start praying. This is in contrast to like if something just happens, an act of God that exposes you. A big breeze comes, and lifts your pants up or lifts your sleeve up or something like that. As long as you cover it instantly, you're fine. But in a case where you do something that causes yourself to be exposed, it would invalidate your prayer. Okay? So we are now talking about, today we're going to shift to the chapter on fasting because we are about to welcome the month of Ramadan in the next couple of days. And then after Ramadan, we'll come back to where we left off in the section of Salah. So if you guys turn to your book on page 27, the book that I'm using is page 27, he talks about the chapter of fasting. He says, fasting is the third pillar of Islam. It is the well-known abstinence, but with certain special characteristics. Among them are making a daily intention during the preceding night and abandoning all things which break the fast, including food, drink, sexual intercourse, masturbation, and self-induced vomiting. Okay, so fasting, as we all know, is one of the pillars of Islam. The Prophet said in a hadith, he said, Buna al-Islamu ala khamsa. Shahada an la ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. وإقامة الصلاة وإيتاء الزكاة وصوم رمضان وحج البيت من استطاع إليه سبيلا. He said Islam is built on 5 things. Testifying there's no God except Allah Ta'ala, and the Prophet ﷺ is his messenger, praying, fasting, giving zakah, and making hajj if you are able to. So it is one of the 5 pillars of Islam, and Allah Ta'ala says in the Quran that it's wajib, it's fard, it's obligatory upon all the believers. He said, Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu kutiba alaykum as-siyamu kama kutiba ala alladhina min qablikum la'allakum tattaqun. All you who believe, fasting is made obligatory upon you all, like it was upon those before you, so that you may acquire or have taqwa. Okay? So fasting is something that everyone knows you have to do. It'd be extremely difficult to find a believer, a Muslim, who doesn't know that Muslims have to fast Ramadan. In fact, it'll probably be really, really hard to find a non-believer, a non-Muslim, who spends a large amount of time with Muslims who doesn't know otherwise. If you went around Detroit to our neighbors who aren't Muslim, who spend time with Muslims, either as classmates or peers or neighbors, okay, or co-workers, even just knowing there are Muslims around, if you were to ask them, they would know that Muslims fast Ramadan. It's something that almost every Muslim knows. It's like how Muslims know that stealing is haram, zina is haram, murder is haram, okay, praying 5 times a day is obligatory. All these things are things that believers just know by virtue of being Muslim and spending time around other Muslims. Okay, if you were to ask someone these questions, is fasting obligatory in Ramadan? They would just know. They don't have to say, let me go Google it real quick. They wouldn't say that. They just know it by virtue of them being around Muslims for most of their life. Okay, so it is one of the 3rd pillars of Islam. And he defines it. He says it is the well-known abstinence, but with certain special characteristics. So fasting is to abstain from specific things. Fasting, as we know it, okay, is to abstain from specific things. What is it we're abstaining from? We're abstaining from anything going into your body cavity through an opening, whether it's food or drink or otherwise. It's abstaining as well from inducing vomit, making yourself throw up. It's abstaining as well from, like he mentions, as well as sexual intercourse and masturbation. Okay? So all these things, it is an abstinence from specific things, from sunrise to sunset with an intention. Okay? It's an abstinence from specific things, from sunrise to sunset with an intention. Okay? So let's break it down piece by piece. The first thing is fasting is an abstinence. You have to go ahead. Dawn to sunset. Dawn to sunset. So Fajr to Maghrib. Fajr to Maghrib. So an abstinence. So it's to prevent yourself from doing these things. The first of which is making sure nothing goes into your body cavity through an opening. Okay? So what is your body cavity? Your body cavity in our religion is defined as your head and your torso. So your arms are not considered part of your body cavity. Your legs are not considered part of your body cavity. Your head and your torso, your abdomen, you can say. Okay? That's considered your body cavity in our religion, in this specific issue, in fasting. Okay? So nothing can enter your body cavity through an opening. What's an opening? What do you guys think? Your mouth. What else? Your nose. What else? Your ears. What else? What about your pores? Are your pores considered openings? Are you sure? What about you have pores on your stomach, no? On your chest, on your face? Your pores, the pores of your skin, right? They're not considered openings, even though medically they are open, right? Your skin breathes through your pores and, it produces sweat, okay? They're not considered openings in fasting. So it's to abstain from anything entering your body cavity through an opening. Anything. Yes? Yeah. So the openings are your mouth, your nose, and then your ears and your eyes. So medically, they consider your eyes an opening. But the scholars of the past, because their medical advancements were different than ours, they didn't include eyes as an opening. So out of caution, we'd consider eyes an opening. All right. Likewise, ears. They considered ears an opening back in the day, but modern science says that no, your ear doesn't actually lead to your body cavity. So again, out of caution, don't put anything in your ears as well. Okay. So it's to prevent anything from entering your mouth, your nose, your eyes, and your ears. And if someone has any other randomly occurring opening, let's say someone has a wound, an open gaping wound on their chest or on their stomach, and something goes in, that would also be considered an opening. But your pores are not. Your pores are not considered openings. So nothing can enter your body cavity through an opening. Okay? No matter if it's food, if it's drink, or otherwise. Okay? As long as it's matter, it's something that we would customarily call a thing. Okay? Something with substance, it cannot enter your body cavity. So, for example, you have like water, right? If you drink water while you're fasting, it breaks your fast. You must abstain from water and other forms of drink, as well as abstaining from water going in through your nose, for example, and you swallowing it, getting into your eyes, getting into your ears. Food as well. Make sure you don't eat anything. Okay? These are all the things that we normally put into our body cavity. What about abnormal things? Someone, for example, is chewing on something, like the end of a pencil or the end of a pen. Does that break their fast? If a bit of it comes off and they swallow it, it would break their fast. Okay? It would break their fast. Okay? Someone, for example, they swallow a button. They swallow a penny. Okay? Anything going into their body cavity through an opening breaks their fast. Okay? Breaks their fast. What about someone is showering? It's cold Michigan winters. Like it just snowed. We're in the middle of March and it just snowed. And someone just puts the water hot and it's steaming up in that shower. Okay? It's steaming up in that shower and they're just breathing it in. And it feels good, right? You're fasting. There's water vapor in that shower. It's going into your mouth. And you can maybe even feel it quenching your thirst. Okay? Does that break your fast? What do you guys think? Huh? Someone is taking a shower and there's hot water in their shower, and so it causes, like it causes what do you call it? Water vapor. It causes like steam that they're breathing in. Does that break their fast? It breaks your fast. Who says yes? Who says no? Who's not decided? Okay. Why does it break your fast? It's going through your nose. Okay. Why doesn't it break your fast? Who wants to answer that question? Huh? It's not physical. All right. What'd you say? It's water vapor. It's not a thing. Right. So it is going through your mouth and your nose. You're breathing it in. But water vapor or steam is not considered a thing, right? Like we don't consider it matter. Yeah, it's water, right, in a gaseous form, right? But it's not something where you can get it, right? So if you breathe it in, even while you're fasting, even if you feel it quenching your thirst, right? You're just breathing in the vapor and you feel it quenching your thirst. It doesn't break your fast. Okay? It does not break your fast. Yeah, that would be the same thing for any other form of gas, except for certain types of smoke. Certain types of smoke would break your fast. Okay? So for example, smoke from a cigarette, okay, has residue. Okay? Or like smoke from a chimney, you can see the residue building up on the chimney walls, for example. If someone smokes tobacco through a pipe, they would see residue building up in their pipe. Okay? So these types of things, okay, that have residue to them, it would break your fast. So smoking, for example, would break your fast. Okay? But the smoke we have, for example, that you use, the ones we use in the molid, when we burn incense, that produces smoke, but there's no residue. If you were to hold something above it, even for a long period of time, there wouldn't be any residual buildup. Okay? So that doesn't break your fast. Okay, so basically the general principle is that anything that has substance to it, okay, if it enters your body cavity while you're fasting, it breaks your fast. Okay?
So referring back to the shower steam example, sometimes that happens and you see the water droplets forming on the wall, and you can see them like running down. So would you say that's like the residual effect of the steam in its gaseous form turning into a solid?
So you're saying, what about when you're taking a shower and the steam collects on the walls and it turns into like water? That's just condensation, right? Right. So if that happens, for example, in your mouth, the steam goes into your mouth, it condenses into water, and you start drinking water in your mouth. That's something that'll break your fast, right? But if you're just breathing in steam, okay, in its gaseous state, it wouldn't break your fast. It's no different than breathing in smoke from the instance that we burn. It wouldn't break your fast. Okay. And so the steam, it collects on your wall and it condenses and it forms droplets. Right. But while it's still in its gaseous state, it wouldn't break your fast. Okay. So anything that enters your body through an opening breaks your fast. Okay. Go ahead. Yeah. So the brother asked, what about if you're making wudu? Does that break your fast? You have to rinse out your mouth or your nose while making wudu. So if you are fulfilling the sunnah of rinsing out your mouth and your nose while you're making wudu, you can do so. All right. Just don't exaggerate. Like don't tilt your head back and gargle the water in the back of your throat, because that'll just, it'll jeopardize your fast and make you more likely to swallow something. Okay. Likewise, don't snort up the water in your nose. Just put a little bit in your nose, a little bit in your mouth, and that's enough. Okay. If, for example, someone is making wudu, okay, gargling their mouth, not exaggerating. They're not like, oh, right. They're just, gargling their mouth or just putting a bit of water in their nose. If while they're doing that, some goes back and they swallow some, it's okay. But if you exaggerate, right, while you're making wudu, so you tilt your head back and you're gargling, or you put a lot of water, or you're snorting things up, and you swallow some by accident, it would break your fast because you've gone beyond the minimum required. You're using too much water, or you're just exaggerating in how you do it, and that's not necessary to achieve the sunnah, to get the reward for the sunnah. Okay. So if you are putting something in your mouth because you have to, because it's sunnah, for example, like gargling your mouth during wudu, and some goes back without, and you haven't exaggerated, it doesn't break your fast. In contrast, if you put something in your mouth when you don't have to. You're not making wudu, okay? You're just sitting at home and you're feeling thirsty, right? You're feeling thirsty. So you're like, okay, I can't drink water, but I can rinse my mouth out, right? To, make yourself feel a bit better. You start rinsing your mouth out, okay? Not during wudu. You're just rinsing your mouth out. And some gets back by accident. You swallow some by accident. Would that break your fast? That would break your fast, right? Because who told you to put water in your mouth? You just decided to do it, right? So if you make a mistake and then you swallow some by accident, it would break your fast, okay? It would break your fast, okay? So to abstain from specific things, to abstain from having anything enter your body cavity through an opening, okay? And the examples he gives are the most common ones we have: food and drink, okay? Food and drink. But again, anything that enters your body cavity through an opening breaks your fast, even if it's, someone's chewing on a pen or a pencil or some siwak or something and they swallow something, it breaks their fast, okay? It breaks their fast. Things that enter your body, even your body cavity, not through an opening, don't break your fast. So someone moisturizes their face, for example, while they're fasting. They moisturize their face, okay? And then their pores take in the lotion or the oils, okay? Now they know it's absorbed, right? If you put moisturizer on or lotion on, like if you go back after a period of time and you touch your face, it's gone. Where'd it go? Your face took it in, right? Your pores sucked it in. This does not break your fast because we said pores are not considered an opening, okay? Pores are not considered an opening. Only if it goes through an opening like your mouth or your nose does it break your fast, okay? So things like eye drops should be avoided while you're fasting, okay? Ear, like if someone has eardrops, avoid them while you're fasting. Just putting your finger in your ear doesn't do anything because it's not going in deep enough. It's not entering your cavity. But it's only if you put like drops in your ears or drops in your eyes where it could harm your fast. Okay. What about putting your finger in your nose? Does that break your fast? Does not break your fast. Okay. So this fleshy part of your nose is not considered part of your body cavity. It's only when it goes beyond your sinuses where it is harmful to your fast, detrimental to your fast. Okay. So if you pick your nose, it doesn't break your fast. Okay? It does not break your fast. So he said, what if you're in a situation where water gets into your mouth, but you're not aware and then you swallow it? Does it break your fast? If you're not aware, then it doesn't break your fast. Okay? It doesn't break your fast. Okay? So we said you cannot let any matter enter your body cavity through your mouth, your nose, your eyes, your ears, any other opening. What about inhalers? What about inhalers? Okay, so an inhaler is matter. There's medicine mixed in with the spray that you breathe in, and it helps the person through their asthma. So inhalers would break your fast. Inhalers would break your fast. But how does that work? Okay, so let's say someone has asthma or they have to use they're using an inhaler regularly. So such a person, what they would do is they would start fasting. Okay, they would start fasting. And if they can go the whole day without using their inhaler, that's fantastic. Their fast is sound. Okay. But let's say they have to use their inhaler throughout the day. Something happens, okay, shortness of breath or whatever it is, and they have to use their inhaler, they're fasting. Use your inhaler. Okay. Use your inhaler, but you've broken your fast. And all that means is that you must make up that you're not sinful because you needed to break your fast. You need to take your medicine. You need to take your inhaler, but just make up the day later on. Okay. Wait for a time of the year, for example, where the days are shorter and you can make up your fast no problem because the shorter the day is, the less likely it is that you need your inhaler. Okay. So if you use your inhaler, it breaks your fast. All right. If you have to use it, break your fast so you don't harm yourself, but make sure you make up the day. Yes. What's a nebulizer?
It's like an inhaler, but it's a machine that's a continuous flow of steam.
Oh, it's like a face mask. Okay. So the sister asked about if you are administering something like a nebulizer or an inhaler or something to a child, as long as you don't swallow anything, you're fine. Yeah. I see. Yeah. Okay. So the scenario is this nebulizer, it can produce smoke and stuff that enters the air, right, around you, and you could potentially breathe it in. Is that what you're saying? As long as you're not 100% sure you breathed it in, it doesn't harm your fast. Just like how, for example, if someone's smoking next to you, there's secondhand smoke, right? As long as you're not 100% sure you breathed in that smoke, it wouldn't break your fast, right? So, for example, in the case of the nebulizer, it's dispersing into the air, and you're, a safe distance from it. It's not like your mouth and your nose is right up against the opening, breathing it in. So, as long as you're not 100% sure, you're okay. All right, you're okay. All right, go ahead.
Maybe misremembering, but what I think I remember was they wouldn't put the mask on, but maybe they would take a small area and then they would have the nebulizer going towards the child.
Okay.
That's what I remember. But
Yeah. So that works too. He mentioned that in the past, some people who use nebulizers, they would, isolate the area or maybe put a tent around the child or something so that the medicine doesn't go around to other people who are fasting. That works too. You can do that as well. Okay. طيب. So in the case of someone who's asthmatic, we said an inhaler does break your fast. Okay. Now what about shots? Okay. What about shots? So shots, okay, shots can also break your fast potentially. There's a big difference of opinion among scholars when it comes to shots, whether they break your fast or not. But the summary of it is the following. Some of them say shots do not break your fast at all. No matter where you get it, what kind of shot you get, it does not break your fast. Some of them say all shots break your fast. It doesn't matter what kind of shot you're getting, where you're getting it, it will break your fast. So these are the two extremes. And then you have a bunch of opinions in the middle. Some of them say if you get an intravenous shot, it will break your fast. Okay? So if you get a shot, for example, in the fleshy part of your body, like a vaccine or something, it won't break your fast. It's only an intravenous one that breaks your fast. Some of them say if it's a shot that like nourishes you, okay? So someone gets an IV, it would break their fast. But something that's not an IV, that's like a vaccine or just medicine, doesn't break your fast. So in summary, what you can say is this. Just avoid a shot if you can while you're fasting, all right? But if you have to take a shot, okay? If you have to take a shot, so when do you have to take a shot? Someone, for example, is diabetic. They need an insulin shot, okay? Plus, they can take the opinion of the scholars that say that it doesn't hurt their fast, okay? It doesn't hurt their fast, especially because insulin is not, it's not nourishing. It's not nourishing. It doesn't make you, it doesn't nourish your hunger or anything. So in this case, the best thing to do is to avoid a shot if you can, all right? But if you have to take a shot because, for example, you're diabetic or something, you can do so, all right? You can do so, okay? So we covered shots and we covered inhalers and we covered nebulizers, okay? And again, the general principle is that anything that enters your body cavity while you're fasting, all right, through an opening, breaks your fast, okay? It breaks your fast. طيب. So he says in the book, fasting is the third pillar of Islam. It is the well-known abstinence, but with certain special characteristics, okay? So we covered the fact that it's abstinence. It's abstaining from certain things. When do you have to abstain? Okay, let's finish the abstinence part. Among them are making a daily intention during a preceding night and abandoning all things which break the fast, including food, drink, sexual intercourse, masturbation, and self-induced vomiting. So the other things that you must abstain from as well are sexual intercourse, whether it's permissible sexual intercourse between spouses, for example, or impermissible sexual intercourse, for example, if someone's committing zina. In all cases, intercourse breaks your fast, so you have to abstain from it. Likewise, masturbation breaks your fast. You have to abstain from it. And the last thing that breaks your fast as well is if you induce vomiting. There's a hadith, the Prophet says that if someone throws up, they don't have to break up their fast. They don't mess up their fast unless they swallow some of it by accident. So if you throw up naturally, it doesn't break your fast. Someone gets sick, for whatever reason, they just throw up naturally without inducing anything. It doesn't break their fast unless they accidentally swallowed something. But if you induce vomiting, someone induces vomiting through, sticking something down their throat or whatever they might be doing, that does break your fast, no matter if you swallowed something or not. Okay? So self-induced vomiting breaks your fast. But naturally vomiting through illness or something doesn't break your fast unless you swallow something by accident. So food or drink, intercourse, masturbation, self-induced vomiting. Okay? All these things must be abstained from in order to have a valid fast. Okay, in order to have a valid fast. Okay, so we covered the abstaining part. We said fasting is to abstain from specific things from dawn to sunset. Okay, from dawn to sunset, from Fajr to Maghrib, with an intention. So when do we have to abstain from? We abstain from Fajr to Maghrib. So Fajr comes in when? Fajr comes in, okay, before sunrise, before the actual disk of the sun appears. Fajr comes in, okay? And we all have our apps, and we all have, timetables that Al-Rahma even distributes that tell us when Fajr is. So someone has to abstain from these things before Fajr starts. Before Fajr starts, okay? So that means that when Fajr comes in, okay, when Fajr comes in, we've already began the abstaining process, okay? We've already began the abstaining process, right? So for example, in Al-Rahma, someone gives the adhan of Fajr, all right? They keep track of the time. When sunrise comes in, then they give the adhan, all right? Now that adhan might be a little bit delayed after the time, okay? He might, only notice the time has comes in 30 seconds, a minute, 2 minutes after the time of dawn, okay? So the adhan of the mu'adhan even might be a little bit delayed. So it's not by the adhan that we go when it comes to when we start fasting. We go by when the actual dawn is. So we check, for example, our apps or our timetables, and we see when dawn is. And then to be safe, add more time on top of that. So you definitely cannot eat or drink or anything like that once dawn has come in. And the sunnah, the best thing to do is to abstain even before that. The Prophet ﷺ was to advise his companions to abstain from eating and drinking, okay, to basically start their fast 20 to 30 minutes before the time of dawn comes in. What equates to what he used to say about what you would need to recite 50 or so ayahs of the Quran, 20 to 30 minutes, okay? And in some countries, including time of the Prophet ﷺ, to this day in some Muslim countries, they'll have 2 adhans for Fajr. The first adhan will be about 20 to 30 minutes before the actual time of Fajr, before dawn, warning people, okay, stop eating and drinking because the sunnah time of fasting has entered. And the second adhan would be for Fajr, telling them that it's time to pray. So in Prophet ﷺ's time, there were 2 adhans. The first adhan was given by Sayyidina Bilal, anhu, the Habashi companion, the companion from Ethiopia or Abyssinia. He used to give the adhan about 20 to 30 minutes before the entrance of Fajr. And the second adhan, signifying the time of Salah, was given by another companion named Abdullah bin Maktoum. Okay? So these 2 companions would give the adhan. Sayyidina Bilal, 20 to 30 minutes before the actual adhan, the entrance of Fajr time, when you have to stop eating. So his adhan is a warning. Stop eating because Fajr is getting really close. And then Abdullah bin Maktoum, radiyallahu anhu, would give adhan, telling people when prayer time has come in. Okay? Telling them when prayer time has come in. So there's a hadith where the Prophet says that if you hear the adhan and you have something in your mouth, just finish that morsel, eat it, swallow it. That hadith is talking about which adhan? He says if you hear the adhan and you have food in your mouth, finish it, swallow it, okay? Don't spit it out. He's talking about the first adhan, the one a good 20 to 30 minutes before the time of Fajr, okay? Some people get this confused. They think that, he's talking about the adhan of Fajr. That you can, if you have a bite in your mouth and you're still chewing or you still have a sip of water, you can swallow it even if you hear the adhan of Fajr. No, that's incorrect. That would invalidate your fast. So let's say someone, for example, is eating something, right? And they're chewing and they hear the adhan of Fajr go off, or they know Fajr has come in, they can't finish that. They have to spit it out. All right. If they were to finish that and swallow it, it would break their fast. Okay. So the hadith the Prophet was talking about, the first adhan, which is a good 20 to 30 minutes before the actual entrance of Fajr. Okay. Before the actual entrance of Fajr. So it's sunnah to start your fast 20 to 30 minutes before the entrance of Fajr, before dawn. And you have to start your fast at dawn, at Fajr. Okay? At Fajr. Is that clear? Right. That's when we start fasting. That is when we start fasting. When do we stop fasting? We stop fasting with the entrance of Maghrib. Okay? We stop fasting with the entrance of Maghrib. And when does Maghrib enter? Again, it's on our apps. It's on these timetables that go out. Okay? But we have to be sure Maghrib comes in. We have to be sure that Maghrib comes in. So we all heard, or we might have heard, Shaykh Abdul Karim's khutbah on Friday where he discussed some nuances to this. The nuances are that the reality is that a lot of these a lot of the apps that we have that tell you the time for dawn, and sunset, all these prayer times, they're calculation based, right? They're based on calculations and algorithms, and they're fairly accurate, but not 100% accurate. Something as simple as a rounding, like how they round the numbers, can affect prayer times. Something as simple as how well your GPS works, where finds your location, can affect the prayer times. All these things can affect the prayer time, and it's been observed, as Sheikh Abdul mentioned in his khutbah, it's been observed by many people where they'll be, for example, on the ocean or on one of the Great Lakes, and they'll be looking at the sun, and their prayer time app says that Maghrib has come in, but the sun is still above the horizon, and it might take 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 more minutes till the sun actually sets. So what that means is, for us, we know that these apps, they're fairly accurate, but out of precaution, let's wait. Okay, just wait a few more minutes, be 100% sure Maghrib has come in, and then break your fast. Okay, and then break your fast. So you guys notice how much caution there is in fasting. Stop eating and drinking. Start your fast well before Fajr, so you don't accidentally eat anything when Fajr comes in. And stop your fast, break your fast after you're 100% sure Maghrib has come in. So this caution exercised on both ends, when we start our fast and when we break our fast. Okay, when we start our fast and when we break our fast. Like, someone might say, okay, Razair, you're saying that you have to wait to be sure Maghrib has come in. Isn't there a hadith where Prophet says that his ummah is on goodness so long as they hasten to break their fast? So we should just hasten to break our fast. We should be sitting there, just like watching the clock. And as soon as time comes in, just start slurping and drinking. Because the ummah is on goodness, it's on the truth, as long as they hasten to break their fast. Okay? That is a hadith. The Prophet ﷺ is right. That is a hadith. Okay? But it doesn't mean you should eat or drink while you're unsure Maghrib has come in. Okay? While you're unsure Maghrib has come in. It just means that don't delay breaking your fast unnecessarily. Okay? So someone, for example, Maghrib might come in and they're like, I'll just break my fast in an hour. All right? I'm busy right now, or I'm not really hungry right now. I'll just break my fast in an hour. And they just keep fasting for another hour, hour and a half. That's the person we're talking about. You should break your fast. Once you know for sure Maghrib has come in, break your fast. Okay? Once you know for sure that Maghrib has come in, break your fast. That's what he's talking about. Unnecessarily delaying the breaking of your fast for whatever reason. Once you know 100% Maghrib has come in, you have your app, you have the timetable that the Al-Rahma gives out, for example, and you add a few extra minutes to be careful, and then you break your fast. Okay? You break your fast. All right? So those are the times where you must, those are the times that we those are the times that we have, okay, that we have to fast from dawn, from Fajr until Maghrib, okay, until Maghrib. طيب. So we said fasting is abstaining from specific things during specific times with a specific intention. The intention you need to fast, the last component of fasting, you have to intend to fast sometime during the night. Okay? So sometime between Maghrib and Fajr, you must intend to fast the next day. And it's enough to say in your heart, or to vocalize, I intend to fast tomorrow for Ramadan. I intend to fast tomorrow because it's the month of Ramadan. Okay? And that's enough. All right? To just vocalize an intention to fast tomorrow for Ramadan, because it's Ramadan. Okay? And the time, again, is from Maghrib to Fajr. So after you've broken your fast, all right? After you've broken your fast, okay? Just make an intention to fast the next day. Make an intention to fast the next day, all right? And if you forget to do it then, you have any time between Maghrib and the entrance of Fajr to make that intention, okay? To make that intention. That means you have, for example, a woman, she's menstruating, okay? She's menstruating, and then she wakes up before Fajr and she realizes she's not menstruating anymore. And maybe she hasn't even made her ghusl yet, okay? She hasn't even bathed herself yet, but she realizes she's not menstruating anymore. And there's a minute before Fajr, she can make an intention and she can fast that day, okay? She can fast that day. So long as you make an intention before Fajr comes in for the next day, you're good to go. All right, you've completed that component. Okay, so you have to make an intention, and the minimum you can say is just to say, I intend to fast tomorrow for Ramadan or because it's Ramadan. That's it. That'll count. Okay, that'll count. So it's to abstain from specific things. Fasting is to abstain from specific things during specific times with a specific intention. Okay, with a specific intention. Okay, طيب. All right, so let's cover some other things that might come up. So people who don't have to fast, all right, number one, are people who are unwell. Someone, for example, is unwell. What does it mean to be unwell? They have an illness that prevents them from fasting. Okay, they have an illness that prevents them from fasting. Okay, this illness, for example, all right, it might be like a chronic illness that they're not hoping to get better from. If they were to fast, they would get worse. They'd get much sicker. They could potentially harm themselves and maybe even die. Okay, or sometimes someone's just weak. They've reached a point in their life, whatever their age might be, where they're just physically weak. They just can't fast anymore. Okay, these people, these people don't have to fast. They don't have to fast. What they do instead, what they do instead, what they do instead is they just give a handful of food, of uncooked food. So the best thing you can use is rice. Give a handful of rice for every day you don't fast to a poor person, to a needy person. Okay? So again, someone who just cannot fast. All right? They just cannot fast. Either because they're ill and they have no hope of getting better, so that they can't find any time during the year when they get better and fast, or they're very weak, they're old in age, or they're just physically very, very weak, they can't fast. Okay? Or someone who just is always on medication. Someone has a form of asthma maybe where they have to use an inhaler regularly. Okay? They can't go without using their inhaler during the day. Or they have some sort of other medication they must take and take. Okay? These people who cannot fast, they would just give a handful of uncooked food. And the easiest thing is just rice. Okay? Get a handful of uncooked rice and give it to a poor person. Okay? Give it to a poor person for every day that they cannot fast. Okay? So this is the first category of individuals who don't have to fast. The second category of individuals who don't have to fast, yeah? They should be Muslim, yeah. They asked, does a poor person have to be Muslim? They should be Muslim, yeah. Yeah, they should be Muslims. The second category of individuals who don't have to fast are women who are menstruating or have postnatal bleeding. Okay? So women who are menstruating or postnatal bleeding, they don't have to fast. Okay? So if a woman, for example, she starts menstruating before Fajr, then that day she doesn't have to fast. Okay? She doesn't have to fast. She has to make up the day later on. Okay? After Ramadan. She keeps track of the days she missed due to her cycle during Ramadan, and she makes them up after Ramadan when she's not in her cycle. Okay? If she starts menstruating even during the day, let's say, for example, she started the day fasting, and then she realized like around Asr time that she's menstruating, okay? That she's on her period, okay? Now, her fast no longer counts. She's still rewarded because she went through, mashallah, a good portion of the day fasting. She's rewarded for her endeavors, but she has to make up that day later on, okay? She has to make up that day later on after Ramadan when she's not fasting. Even if she realizes she's fasting just minutes before Maghrib, khalas, that day doesn't count for her, and she has to make it up. Okay. Now, what does it mean for her to realize she's menstruating? It means that she actually sees something. It's not a sensation. It's not, I think I'm on my period. No, she actually sees. She sees something. She sees blood. Okay. So if she's seen that, then she's considered to be on her period, and she cannot fast that day. Okay. She cannot fast that day. So if she sees it before Fajr, she can't fast that day. If she sees it during the day and she's already fasted, she still must make up that day. All right. And if she sees it, okay, after Maghrib, let's say she fasted that day and then she broke her fast. She prayed Maghrib and then she immediately sees, oh, I'm on my period now. Her fast counts because she saw it. When did she see it? After Maghrib. After Maghrib. Okay. And we covered the example of her getting off her period. So, for example, if she gets off her period before Fajr, right? She can make a quick intention and she can start fasting. She gets off her period during the day. So let's say she gets off her period during Dhuhr or Asr. She still can't, that data still doesn't count for her because she missed a portion of the day. She has to make it up later. Okay? Does that make sense? Are there any questions?
One, so just don't look, right? And then two, women in that category or anyone that owes makeup, can they double in 10 the 6 of Shawwal?
Okay. So the brother's asking, does that mean like she obligated to look before Maghrib? She's not obligated to look. Okay. She doesn't have to look before Maghrib. Okay. Just like how she doesn't have to wake up in the middle of the night and check if she's off her period before Fajr. Okay. It's just that when she notices she's on a period, she has to stop fasting. Okay. Second question he asked was, he said, can she like double up on intentions because of days she missed in Ramadan because of her period? So for example, let's say she missed, a week in Ramadan due to her period, 7 days. And then she wants to make up those 7 days during Shawwal and also intend, sunnah fast. Can she do that? There's a difference of opinion, but she can, yeah. She can.
So it's the whole time she's off her period. Must she still abstain from eating and drinking?
No, she doesn't have to abstain. He said that does she have to abstain from eating and drinking? If she gets off her period during the day in Ramadan, she doesn't have to. Yeah. Okay. She does not have to. All right. Okay. طيب. So we covered that. Okay. We covered that. All right. So we covered people who don't have to fast, people who are either very elderly, all right, or very sick, or a woman who is menstruating, for example. Likewise, someone who doesn't have to fast, another person who doesn't have to fast is a traveler. If someone is considered traveling at the time of Fajr, they don't have to fast that day. So what's that mean? To be considered a traveler, you have to intend to travel 50 miles or more away from your hometown, and you have to have exited your hometown before Fajr. All right. So for example, I live in Detroit. All right. We're here in Detroit. Okay. Where's the board of Detroit? It's like 2 blocks away is Dearborn. Okay. As long as, if I'm intending to go somewhere 50 miles or more, let's say I'm intending to go to like Chicago. As long as I get out of Detroit and I cross those 2 blocks before Fajr, I don't have to fast that day. All right. I do not have to fast that day. All right. As long as you are intending to go somewhere 50 miles or more away from your hometown where you live, and you actually leave your hometown before Fajr, you don't have to fast that day. You can if you want to, but you don't have to. 50 miles, okay? 50 miles. You can if you want to, but you don't have to, all right? Now, if you leave after Fajr, let's say, for example, I'm going somewhere hundreds of miles away, okay? I'm going to Germany, all right? And I have a flight out of Detroit Airport. Is Detroit Airport in Detroit or outside Detroit? It's in Detroit, okay? What time is my flight? My flight's at like 8 in the morning after Fajr, okay? So I'm intending to go really far, but I haven't left Detroit until what time? Until 8, which is after Fajr. That means what? That means I have to start the day fasting, okay? I have to start the day fasting. But during the course of my trip, if I find difficulty maintaining the fast for whatever reason, you can break your fast and you won't be considered sinful, and you just make up that day later on, okay? So if someone doesn't fast because they're traveling, okay, whether they leave before Fajr, all right, and they don't fast that day, or they start the day fasting and they break their fast later on in the day because they can't maintain it, they must always make up that day later on, okay? All right? You must always make up that day later on, all right? But to start the day not fasting, you have to do what? You have to leave your town, okay, before Fajr, all right? So if I say, for example, I'm going to go to where? What's a nearby town? I'm going to Warren. How far is Warren? Not that far, right? 15 minutes. It's not that far. Less than 50 miles, we'll say, right? And I leave Detroit before Fajr, okay? Do I still have to fast? Yeah, you still have to fast because you didn't meet the minimum required distance, right? Warren's quite close. So you have to intend to go somewhere 50 miles or more, and you have to leave your hometown before Fajr, okay? That's for someone traveling. Go ahead.
The question, let's say that you want to go to, I don't know, let's say Flint, right?
Uh-huh.
You're like, okay, I have my travels, my flight's at 8 a.m. You live in Detroit, where like my journey starts, I have to pick up my bag or buy this thing from Flint. So you would technically exit your city limits, and for you, would that be when you consider the journey, even though you're going to end up crossing your hometown again as part of the travel, which is still be considered travel?
Sorry, can you say it again?
So let's say you live in Detroit, right?
Yeah.
You're leaving at 8 a.m. That's your flight from DTW. But let's say that your journey begins with you going to like Flint or like somewhere where, let's say I have to put my luggage over there, right? Or visit someone before I go. And I end up having to cross my hometown before my, or yeah, I have to end up crossing my hometown
I see.
with my fast.
So he's asking an interesting question. He's saying, what if, for example, I'm from Detroit. All right. I'm from Detroit. Before Fajr, I leave Detroit. I find myself in Flint. Okay. Is that what you're saying? And then from Flint, I'm going to go to Chicago, but I just cross through Detroit, whether to pick something up or pick someone up, or I'm just going through Detroit. Right. What does that mean? So as soon as you cross into Detroit, you're no longer traveling. And then once you leave it, you're traveling again. So you're essentially traveling, not traveling, traveling. Yeah. So that's a bit, you'd have to fast that day probably. Yeah. Because a portion of your trip, you're not traveling. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? Okay. So we covered the people who don't have to fast. The last person we'll cover is someone who, for example, they start their day fasting, but they can't continue the fast. Okay. So anyone who finds, like proper difficulty to continue the fast. We're not talking about a light headache or just mild discomfort, like proper, like difficult to maintain the fast. Okay. Whether it means like if they may continue fasting, they'll become ill. Okay. Or, their life's in danger. Okay. The point is, there's proper hardship to maintain the fast, to continue fasting. Such a person can always break their fast, but you just have to make up the day later on. Okay. So you can, if you're worried, for example, that you have to start a trip to go somewhere, but you're starting after Fajr and you're worried, can I maintain my fast? Start fasting. Okay. Start fasting. And then throughout the course of your day, see how you feel. If you're worried, if you continue fasting, it might harm you physically or medically, then you can always break your fast and make up the day later on. Similarly, some people have very, very strenuous jobs. Okay. Their jobs are very physical and require a lot of energy. Okay. You still have to fast. So you would start your day fasting, and then throughout the course of your day, see how you feel. If you can't maintain the fast, you can break your fast if you're worried about harming yourself or becoming ill, and then just make up the day later on. And just make sure you keep track of how many days you have to make up. Okay. So no one can just not fast because of work, for example. Okay. No one can just not fast because of work or because of whatever reason it is they might have. Some people, for example, think like, okay, like, I got a big game tomorrow. All right, just not going to fast. They might even be paid like a professional athlete. No, you have to fast. Okay. But just see how you feel throughout the day. And if you get to a point where you actually think you're going to harm yourself by continuing the fast, khalas, break your fast and then make it up later on. Okay. But if someone breaks their fast without due cause, all right, they just break their fast. It's a very big sin. All right. It's a big sin. And you have to do what? You have to not eat or drink the rest of the day. Okay. Make tawbah, repent for breaking your fast, and still make it up. So someone starts the day fasting and has to break it because they find it difficult. Okay. They're excused. Just make up the day later on. But someone just breaks their fast for no reason or decides not to fast for any reason. Okay. This person, it's a big sin, and they're still required to not eat or drink. So every time they eat or drink, they're accruing more sin. They're gaining more sin, and they would have to make up the day later on, and they have to repent for their sin. Okay? Repent for their sin. So with that said, I think we'll stop here for like 5 minutes or so for a quick break, and then we'll resume at, we'll say 12:05, inshallah ta'ala. If someone wants to get up and stretch or get a cup of water or something, go ahead. And we'll resume in about 5 to 7 minutes, inshallah.